Hi there, my name is Raya from Active Health Clinic, and today I wanted to speak to you about the different types of setbacks that we may have. So first of all, there are different onsets behind our setbacks. These can be activity or trigger related, they can be sickness related, injury related, and all of the different variations within that. So it's really important to identify what it is that led to your setback or your flare-up of symptoms, because that'll help you identify what it is that you may need to do around it. Now, within setbacks, there are different types of setbacks too, and different contexts around them. So we can have sudden setbacks, we can have accumulative-based setbacks, now setbacks or flare-ups, depending on your narrative and depending on your experience. So this can be a flare-up of symptoms, or this could be setback, whatever your terminology may be. So I've got a little graph behind me, and this is just one way of explaining the different types of setbacks. So as I said before, they can be things that are activity or trigger related, sickness related, injury related, etc. So this one is more in the context of activity or trigger related, okay? So we have our onset and our recovery. So this, sorry about the colors, this blue line here is what we consider more of a sudden onset of symptoms and therefore a sudden or quicker recovery. Generally, this will indicate that we have less triggers involved. So that might be that you've gone to the shopping center, you've overexerted yourself, you've come home, you've rested, you've made sure to recharge in the ways that you're feeling fatigued or symptomatic, and then you've recovered from the activity itself, recovered from the going to the shopping center, okay? Then we have more what we'd consider accumulative, which is this green line here. Accumulative means that it's slower onset, slower recovery, and can actually have many or multiple triggers. And that can be one or two, but that can also be 3, 4, or 5, depending on the person and depending on the experience. So that might be that you had a big day, plus a big day, plus a big day, and then all of a sudden you're experiencing your crash day or your setback or your flare-up in symptoms, which means that that slower onset can indicate a bit of a slower recovery on the other side, because your body's actually trying to recover from multiple things, and therefore it needs a little bit of time and space to do so. Then we have what we consider like a setback on top of a setback. So that's that red line here, where you might have overexerted yourself in some way, and then you may experience a virus on top of that, or you may experience menstruation, you may experience poor sleep, whatever it might be, is that you've actually felt unwell already, and then something else has come in to trigger you further, or to exacerbate symptoms further. And that can just be that you're exposed to more triggers on top of what it is you've already been exposed to. Now what you can see is these lines going across is ongoing, which means that our symptoms will stay flared if the trigger is still there, or the problem or the difficulty is still there, which means that if you, for instance, overexerted yourself yesterday physically, and then again today you've exerted yourself physically, and then again the following day you've exerted yourself physically, and your baseline's dropped and you haven't actually accommodated your needs, so you're still doing the same level of activity, then your symptoms will potentially be ongoing because you're not actually recharging in the way that you need to. So your body's communicating that it wants physical rest, and if it's not getting that physical rest, then it's still going to communicate those symptoms. And that can be at any part of this particular picture and this story, is that symptoms can be ongoing, and they generally will be as a result of a flare-up or setback if we haven't recharged in the way or helped our body recover in the way that it needs to as a result of what it is that we've been doing. Okay, so I suppose with that, it's really important to recognize in flare-ups, setbacks and crashes and those kind of things, is really looking at the types of triggers that you've been exposed to, and therefore what are the appropriate ways to recharge and recover from said exposure to help your body better balance things out. So this is where we look at where our capacity is going and look at how we can best offset that to recharge and recover in the best way we possibly can as a result of what it is that we've been doing or exposed to. Okay, so the first thing to identify, is it a quick onset or a slower onset? So the idea is to look at, has it been one trigger or many triggers? Has this been building over days to weeks, or has this been building over the last couple hours? So that'll tell you exactly what's been going on recently, which will then help you identify in what ways could you or should you be recharging to best support your body and what it's going through. So I must specify, this is a very, very linear way of looking at things, and we know that symptoms and our experiences are not linear. So it's very, very important to recognize that this it's not as beautiful, not that this is beautiful, but it's not as beautifully linear in the sense of lines looking like this. As we know, it's a very, very bumpy ride that we are on with our symptom experience. But what I'm trying to remind you of today is to be considerate of what's going on in your body and just recognize that symptoms are essentially a form of communication. It's your body trying to communicate a need, and if we can recognize what it is that it's trying to say and acknowledge how we can best support ourselves around that, then generally we're able to best support our symptoms in navigating removing them or quietening them down so that they're not as loud. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions, please comment them below, or feel free to join our AHC connection on Facebook, as we have some support in there and many more webinars. So see you soon.